I will go ahead and invite Silje to come up here, and let's give her a warm welcome.
My name is Silje Harlander. I want to thank everybody tonight, and I want to thank Art Centers for giving me the opportunity to showcase my work and talk to you tonight. So I grew up in Wallowa County. Both my parents are Norwegian, and growing up, this gave me kind of a sense of longing for a place that was really far away, and I feel that this sense of longing kind of has like a positive side of this sort of deep love for a culture and a place, and folklore and food and language and all these things that I felt really connected to, and heritage I felt connected to. And then also on the flip side, kind of that deep love for family and heritage is kind of the melancholy that comes of yearning for things that I did know and love, but also things that I didn't know about that place and the place I came from in a way. And I would say that combination of kind of melancholy and love of this place or places is and kind of that longing emotion is something that I channel a lot creatively, and kind of both in a sense of subject matter, but also in a sense of actually like the feeling that drives me to create. Also, kind of a part of this growing up in like a dual culture is a sense of like in-between identity. So I felt like growing up, I was a part of the community in Wallowa County, and I felt, you know, a sense of home there, but then also had this home across the Atlantic, and I felt kind of like not really from either place, but sort of this in-between. And so I've been very fascinated in this idea of like the betweenness, call it, of things. And I think that there's more than we sometimes give credit to that exists in this in-between. And so kind of creatively and just in the way that I observe the world, I'm really fascinated by things that are kind of in this in-between space. So when after graduating from high school, I moved to Norway for a year before college, and there I felt this sense of longing for Wallowa County, so it kind of flipped from like the longing for kind of this culture and Norwegian side of me to home, and kind of in that I felt like I was definitely missing the people and my family and friends and the community, but I also missed the place and the landscapes and kind of the town and mountains and rivers and pastures and whatever was home. And so I think in that there's a little bit of this sense of like places as being kind of, I guess the best way to put it is like, I felt like I was missing a best friend in that place. And I think that in college, I was really curious about this idea of places and like what makes a place a place. So I took some geography classes kind of around this idea. There was sort of crossover of environmental studies and humanities about like what actually makes a place a place. And I could get really in the weeds on this, and I won't because you don't want me to, but the things that kind of I gathered from that are that we as humans have spent, or there's a lot of narratives about humans being having agency and affecting landscapes, and kind of in a lot of times in a negative sense, especially from like the environmental movement. And what I was interested to learn and have spent time thinking about is that the reverse is also true, and landscapes are influencing and shaping us all the time, and that we, from being in physical places and spending time in nature, this is shaping our behavior, our values, the way that we communicate with one another and feel connected, and this moves beyond just the physical place, but the ideas we have about it and the romanticization or the kind of notions we have about what makes a place the way it is. And so in this, I kind of found a sense of belonging, and I think it's interesting that the word belonging has also the word longing in it, and I think there's some sense of kind of learning a place when you're away from it as well, and feeling that sense of belonging that that maybe you don't exactly have when you're right in that, too close to that place. And I think that for me, this was really powerful to feel that even though I've felt at times between places, that those places have shaped who I am, and that like there's kind of this cycle of shaping one another. So I'll leave it at that for kind of this conceptual side of things. But one thing I also wanted to talk a little bit about is my process or progress as an artist and kind of where I want to go from here. And I would say that when I was in college, it was really easy to get infiltrated with lots of like ideas and kind of thoughts and conversations and readings and lectures, and that these were all kind of very easy to access. And so kind of in reflecting on that time and the work that I made in college, I like to think about now that, or I guess I've learned now that a lot of the initial creative process happens in the subconscious, for me at least. And I think trusting that the things that you let into your mind are kind of like, if I use my own metaphor, like the well that you have, if it's being filled with certain ideas and emotions, kind of in this subconscious process, they're like grafting and connecting and linking in different ways that we don't necessarily have control over, and maybe we shouldn't always control. And so I think that there's kind of two lessons in this, and that's trusting that like it's okay to just let that come out and surface sometimes, and not have to have, I think like we have a lot of, in our society, a lot of kind of focus on like products or the end kind of piece or whatever you want to call it. And I think that trusting that what comes out of you is like meaningful is something that I want to kind of focus on and lean into a little bit more. The other piece of that too is being more, like I'd like to be intentional about, I think in college it was really easy to like just, I was thinking about all these different things, and I had like I said, easy access to kind of having these like deep thoughts, I guess. And I think now realizing that if what we are sort of filling our mind with is meaningful, that the art or whatever we create in our expressions are also going to be meaningful, and being intentional about that side of things too. And then the last thing I'll say is that I think because I felt really different growing up here in Eastern Oregon in certain ways, that I sort of leaned into this difference in terms of like wanting to feel the sense of authenticity. And I think there's positives to that, because I think sometimes that makes you bold or like just willing to share your difference with the world. But I think sometimes this is also just like, at least in my personal experience, it's like authenticity just for authenticity's sake. And I would like to work a little bit more moving forward on and grow into being a little bit more vulnerable with my art and being willing to share things that are like maybe a little more sincere. And so I think that's kind of most of what I have for tonight. And I'd love to open up the floor for questions about my talk or about my artist statements or any pieces, if anyone has any questions. So thanks for coming.